Now, this session is all about your sales and marketing and how you scale. Now, if you are, let's say, looking for properties for yourself, this applies to you as well, because you still need to find direct to vendor properties, or for that matter, through agents, and you still need to be out there with your sales and marketing and your brand presence, okay? And also, within that, how do you actually build a property business in the first place? Okay, now, let me share with you one thing that I learned a long time ago. Okay, one thing I learned a long time ago was that if you have to run an ad to find your first few customers or your first few leads, you're already on a losing business. You must be able to find your initial leads with absolutely no money for ads, or for that matter, a website or a logo, or for that matter, anything. Okay, it's what you call proving the concept, okay, and your skill level. Now, let's say you give me a vase, okay, or whatever you want to give me, and you say, you know what, show me that you can sell it, okay? I don't need a website or a logo to sell it. You just need to know how to ring up a few people and sell it, okay? Likewise, in property, you don't need to run ads or anything. What you need to do is first do your networking and learn to sell. Okay? Your logo doesn't make you money. Your website doesn't make you money. Your content creation doesn't make you money. That's your brand presence. What makes you money is picking up the phone and selling something. Okay? That's very, very important. Remember, your logo does not make you money. Your website doesn't make you money, at least not initially. In the long term, it does. Okay? But in the short term, it doesn't make you money. What helps you make money is picking up the phone and selling something. Okay? Either it means selling yourself, which means you're looking for a deal. You call a landlord, you call an agent, you get that deal for yourself. That's what you call selling yourself. Okay? Now, why am I sharing this with you? I've shared this 500,000 times. Okay? Because most people get this wrong. Okay? It's very, very important to learn to sell yourself. If you call up an agent or a landlord and you don't know how to persuade someone to give you the property, you're just not going to go anywhere with it, with any business for that matter. Okay? That is your first step. Okay? Now, I remember from my mentor, I learned that through your strong networking, you must be able to get to a point where you replace your income. Okay? Whatever income you're on now, either it's 20 grand or 200 grand, you need to learn to replace your income from your business without running any ads whatsoever. And that's purely through networking. Okay? I am a prime example in front of you. PN, since we've launched, I've spent £300 in total on paid ads. £300. Okay? And now we are sitting on such a large network generating lots and lots of money. Okay? That's purely because I understand that networking is the key at the core. Okay? How do you do effective networking? Effective networking is not walking into a networking event, giving out your cards or taking someone's card. That's not what you call networking. That's what you call really bad networking. Good networking is when you connect with someone, you bring them into your community, and then you nurture those relationships. And I've done that through multiple community groups. Either it is WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you know the drill, okay? And like I said, that's nurturing those relationships to a point when you actually close that business. Sometimes you have to nurture those relationships for many, many years, okay? I mean, literally, sometimes 5, 7, 10 years before they come to you and say, you know what, we'd like to buy from you. I've literally had people walking out on me and saying, you know, we don't want to buy, and turned back 2 minutes later, because they went out, they spoke with someone, Mrs., partner, whatever, changed their mind, came back and bought it from me. That's including, sorry, could you mute yourself? That's including property deals, that's including finance deals, That's including training, mentoring, and a whole bunch of other services. This has happened with me so many times. Once someone literally walked out, 2 minutes later, came back, bought something. Another person walked out, few hours later, they came back, they bought it again, okay? Please learn to nurture those relationships, because it's not about you, it's not about you are there to sell. It's about if another person is ready to buy in terms of if it's the right timing for them. Does that make sense? Okay. Please do not burn bridges. Okay. I've seen many people in business, when someone inquires about something and they don't buy, the businessman really gets frustrated, burns the bridge, and eventually they never buy. I am exactly the opposite. I nurture relationships irrespective of they buy from me or not. And what tends to happen is they either buy themselves or they recommend other people who eventually buy from me. Okay? Very, very important. Please do not burn bridges ever, because those are the same people. Either they will buy themselves or they will go and recommend you to someone else who will buy from you if you nurture those relationships well. Does that make sense? Okay? That's very, very important. At the same time, learning the difference between your marketing and your sales is two different things, okay? Marketing is your brand exposure, okay? These events that you see, they are at the core of marketing. They're not sales. Raise your hand if you didn't know that all these events are marketing tools and not sales tools. Raise your hand if you knew this. All of these events are just marketing tools for your brand exposure. When people come into these networking events, that's when you do your sales. Sales is actually what you call asking someone and saying, would you like to buy by using the GROW model? Okay. Marketing is all about, you know what? Here is some value. Here's what we can potentially do. Here are I'm sitting alongside with a very prolific investor. That's your marketing. That's your brand exposure. Sharing about what your product can do is marketing. It's not sales. Sharing about what your product has done for others is marketing. Sharing about how your product has helped someone improve their life, that's all marketing. That's not sales. Sales is when you actually pick up the phone and say, you know what, here is our product, would you like to buy? Okay? And you don't need fancy logos and fancy websites. You can do them eventually, but that's not what brings money initially. Okay? If you raise your hand, if you see that PEN still does not have an official logo, please raise your hand if you can see that. Can anyone see that? We physically actually do not have an official logo. All we have is PEN and a bit of writing underneath. There's no logo, because I know logos don't make money. Okay? We now have a really good website. I could invest money into a logo, but I'm not interested. It doesn't bring money. Okay? Here is my question to everyone. Or for that matter, I'm just going to pick one person. Sarah, can I speak with you? It's a lot more easier to explain a bit more context around rather than not.
Yeah, hi, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, Sarah, so tell me, what is your big challenge that I can give you more context around this marketing and sales thing? What is the big challenge?
Yeah, so I've been trying to find BNV deals, but I have been struggling. Where I live, the competition is so high that there's no BNV on the market. So okay. I don't know. I try really hard, contact a few people, but there's no luck.
So there is two things happening here. First of all, how many calls have you made so far?
I made quite a bunch of calls. It's literally not showing on like the technique he's shown me. It's not showing actual BNV within the area. The lowest BNV is like 5.something%, and then there's hardly a lot available. Like I'm constantly checking every day.
I understand that. Okay, so here is what actually really works. Okay. Have you had through your door direct to vendor letters yourself? Most people have had them. Have you had them?
I've done direct to, I've distributed letters. I'm just in process of doing leafleting as well.
No. So
Paying a company to do leafleting on my behalf.
Sarah, let me ask my question again.
Yeah. Go on.
Have you had any direct to vendor letters through your post by someone else? Not leaflets,
Yeah.
direct letters.
Yeah, I have.
You have. Okay. Next time when you get them, can you start collecting them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Direct to vendor letters is a very long-term, including leaflets, okay?
Yeah.
They're a very long-term marketing strategy.
Right.
They don't work short-term. So if you do them for 2 or 3 months, you're not going to make anything out of it, okay? But if you do them long-term, more like 5 or 10 year strategy, okay?
Yeah.
They work really well, okay? The reason I know this is because I used to run a show for a company. We used to do on average £1,000 a month worth of leaflets, and we did that for many, many years. Okay, that was the long-term strategy of doing leaflets and carding. That we used to do cards, not leaflets, but cards. Yeah, we did that for many, many years, and that's a long-term strategy because we knew that that's how you build a substantial taxi or a chauffeur business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Likewise, in property, we started doing direct to vendor letters quite some time ago. Then I stopped in the middle because I didn't need them because the network grew pretty strong. Okay.
Right.
But if you do direct to vendor letters, they really work. But remember, it's not a short-term strategy, it's a long-term strategy. Within your online strategy, which I showed you, okay, there's 2 things happening. Okay. One is your skills. When you jump on a call, you need to practice grow model. Have you been using that effectively?
I need to practice what model? So say that again.
The grow model. So you want to watch the videos.
Yeah, the grow model. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So if I was you, first I would go and watch those videos based on the grow model. And second is when you make those calls, either you make it or James makes it, the other person.
Yeah.
Because that's a sales call. You're actually calling an agent and selling yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but you got to be aware of that. Your leafleting or your direct to vendor letters or all of this is marketing. But when you pick up the phone and call an agent or a landlord, that's your sales. Okay. And that's where you need to practice your grow model massively. I mean, I have practiced it as if it's like Bible. Okay?
Yeah.
Literally, I have done it all day long. I've done it for many, many years. I know exactly what pattern to follow when I'm speaking with agents or landlords.
Wow.
Okay? It's a skill. It takes time. You're not going to pick it up in a month.
No.
Okay? It does take time. Okay? And if I was you, I would practice with other people as well. Ask in the group, practice it with someone. Okay? Okay?
Okay, we'll do.
Going back to your marketing and sales, okay? There are 4 or 5 things that really work well, especially finding direct to vendor deals, okay?
Yeah.
You have your direct to vendor letters, that's pretty obvious. Your leaflets work as well, okay?
Yeah.
But again, it's a long-term strategy. One thing that I observed that works really well is your public data. Okay, what do I mean by public data? The HMO register.
Right.
Okay, that works very, very well. Okay, what else works well when it comes to LinkedIn Premium? Okay,
sorry, let me take a pen and paper. Sorry, public data, LinkedIn.
Public data, which is your HMO register or any data that you can find on the local council's website.
Okay.
Your LinkedIn Premium. Because LinkedIn Premium allows you to filter investors and landlords in the local region. And the most effective that I find is doing events, local events. Okay?
Because local events.
Doing your local
related or just any
events. Yeah.
Any local events. Okay.
When you start doing local events and you attract local landlords into your event, it's a lot more easier to nurture those relationships.
Okay.
Remember, using your WhatsApp, bringing people into your community, these are vital steps. Okay. Look, just because you connected with a landlord doesn't mean that he's ready to sell his property. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He may be ready in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years time. Unless you don't nurture those relationships, you won't get those leads, right? Also, another one, speaking with your local solicitors, you get probate properties. Personally, who would take on these solicitors on dinners, gets one deal, he makes 40, 50,000 pounds easily. Does that make sense? I know it's not easy. Remember, like I said, just because you're ready to buy doesn't mean someone is ready to sell. So it's all about nurturing those relationships. Okay?
Yeah.
You have someone aged in the community, you know, unfortunately, we're all going to die. But you know, this guy is going to die at some point. Okay? That property is going to come in the market. But if you have good relationship with the person, with their family, you know, if they know you buy properties, they're going to come to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the things you need to be aware of. And these 4 or 5 things that I just shared, the strategic ways, these work most effectively. I've not seen anything else working better than this. Okay? Yes, you can run ads. Yes, you can do 500,000 other things, but they're not as effective as doing events and doing actual networking. Okay? Nothing works better than referral programs. Okay? If you have a referral program in your company where, you know, you speak with people and say, if you get us a direct to vendor lead, we will pay you really decent. People will bring you business. Okay? I generate probably about 50% of my business through our referral program. 50%.
And what kind of referrals are those?
All sorts. Finance. I mean, I'm sitting on 200 finance cases. About 1/3 of them would come from referral.
Yeah.
Okay. Property business, deals wise, about 50% I'm sitting on referral business. Okay. Landlord leads that I get, most of it comes due to my online presence. And my online presence includes interviews, doing regular videos. That's all it is. When people watch those videos, they perceive me as the expert and they approach me when they want to sell a property. Does that make sense? So for me, most of my business comes from the referral program. I don't do any direct to vendor letters or leaflets anymore. It comes through our networking, our events, and my online presence. Does that make sense? And most of it just comes from our community, just a large community. Okay, you go to our groups, you can find my number. It clearly states we can help you set property. You can find it at different places. So I'm actually it's almost like you can go to my community groups and the banner pages says, if you're looking to sell your property, call this number. Okay, and then people get in touch. But unless people don't know, they're just never going to approach you. Okay, so writing that number there is marketing. When they call you and you're on the phone, it's time to sell. Sell yourself. And that's based on the group.
A lot of visibility, I quite agree. The more visibility, the better.
Touch points, Sarah. Previously, I mean, about 5-6 years ago, the touch points used to be 7 before someone decided to do business with you. About 3 or 4 years ago, it got to 16. I believe now it's about 30 touch points. Someone need to see you or your content or your material at least 30 times before they make a decision to do business with you. Okay, and this applies to everything. Either you're looking for more landlords, or you're looking to sell properties, or you're looking to sell anything. It doesn't really matter. Or looking for something to buy. These are the number of touch points you need. Okay, so how strong is your online presence? That's really big. Okay, we'll actually check all of that.
All right then. Thank you. Thank you very much for the tips.
Good stuff. Arthur, do you have any questions? I'm going to get a bit more detail into this.
Yes, I do. In terms of this, as usually, I have some questions. In terms of this, not having a brand, and I understand that everything was going on as a sales process, and we selling ourselves wherever we go and whatever stage we do, doesn't matter, business or similar. This is the selling process.
Yes.
But coming back to the situation that a few years ago, it was, as you said, 7-9 touch points. Now we probably reaching 30. It does not make a because you have to be recognizable. You have to build a trust with the potential clients, and they will check you out. If you don't appear as somebody who's got potential background and no logo, no website, no nothing, how a part of the sales process is it not important really to have this, like let's call it a logo things behind you to support your person? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Okay, let me take you to a bit more into the depth of this, okay? People start to trust you based on your narrative, your story. If you go online and if you check some of the videos that I've made, there are different kinds of stories, okay? Now, you don't need to make up the story. You tell the story the way it is, okay? My story is naturally an underdog story, okay? I came as an immigrant. Just no one was going to believe that I was ever going to make it, and I made it. Yes, that's an underdog story. Yeah. People trust you on the basis of your narrative and the story that you're telling. Okay. Now here is a question I'm going to ask you, Arthur. Why do you think Elon Musk has just bought Twitter?
Say it again, please.
Why do you think Elon Musk has bought Twitter? Can you hear me?
Exactly for this. Yeah. Exactly for this reason. I even thought yesterday, and I read it exactly. He's close to it, and I know exactly the answer. Yes, absolutely, I do agree.
So
yeah.
People trust you on the basis of your story, your narrative, and he's bought Twitter so he could control his narrative online. Okay, so people don't buy from you because of your logo. They buy from you because of your storytelling.
Sure.
Okay. So what
no, that's clear. That's clear. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, like I said, if you just reflect back on how you joined PEN, how you came about being here, you're probably going to hear a story in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You need to create your story, because people, as human beings, stories are the nearest thing to our genetics. And we believe in stories. Does that make sense? We tell ourselves a story and we buy it through a story. We are living in a story, and everything around is a story. Okay?
Sure, absolutely.
You need to create a strong one for yourself. Okay? People don't buy from logos. People don't buy any of that. People buy stories. What is your story? You need to sit down and write that. If you go to my personal website, if you go to bio, you'll probably see a story. If you go to PEN and About Us page of the PEN, you'll see a story. Okay? It's a story everywhere. I take interviews and I'm sharing my story within those interviews. Okay? I am creating more content around it. I'm sharing a very small anecdote around the story. All that eventually creates trust. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. And this is what I am thinking, how to most effectively create trust, because without the trust, nothing will gonna happen. I understand that more interesting and more personal story it will be, than the potential trust will be built faster and more efficient. That's right. Absolutely clear for me. I was just asking to just potentially avoid the mistakes. You know what I mean?
Here is something you can do. Okay, start now. And stop trying to avoid mistakes. Okay, the more you try and avoid mistakes, the more it'll slow you down, the more slower the growth. Okay, I'll tell you what happened so you can see through a bit. Okay, I took my first interview, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, and guess who I went to interview? The local MP, member of parliament. Okay, and I did the introduction wrong. First interview, member of parliament, I'm sitting in his office and I do the introduction wrong. He was actually annoyed. I didn't care. I came back, I did the intro again at home on a different background, and I attached it to the video. Don't try to avoid mistakes. It'll only slow you down. Start now. The most business I have ever had has always been referral program. And the second has always been the storytelling and content creation. Okay. I've had landlords approach me. I've had developers approach me just because they've sat down and watched a video about my story and how I'm doing things. Are you with me?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very valuable suggestions or guidance what you said, because
start now.
somehow in my head there's then without the proper logo, the proper everything, the trying to do things is a wasting of time. But if you said no, I will take it as an advantage and I will try, because your way is already proven that means that I can save some time.
I still don't have a logo. You got to remember, it's a massive business. We are doing the biggest online property event of the country, and I still don't have a logo. I don't know how else can I share this with you? Okay.
I can borrow you mine.
Go.
I have a logo.
Start to create content. Start to sell. Really hit hard on your networking. You'll do well. That's all it is. It's not rocket science.
Good. Okay.
Good. Alan, any questions?
No real questions, but just one comment, Jack. Yeah, I'm listening to what you're saying. All makes. I've got a group of people who I'm trying to interest in some of the deals on the current list. So I'd like to talk with you once I've located a suitable deal, which I think would be a match for this group. I'd like to talk to you and try and negotiate this deal. So I'm just declaring my intent to do that in the next week or so.
Just reach out to me. Pick up the phone, call me. That's all you need to do.
Okay? Yeah. Okay. Cheers.
I'm going to give you a bit more depth into the marketing and sales side, okay? Because a lot of you, I'm not saying everyone, but many of you might not have seen that side of the business, okay? Here's what happens, okay? Let's say when you start to scale your business, either you're selling, deals, or you're buying deals, or you are looking to grow your portfolio, or you're looking to sell more, like I said, property deals, property finance, or training or mentoring, or whatever you want to sell. It doesn't really matter, okay? You got to get to a point where you're making more money than what you make now in your business without having to spend a penny on ads. But you will eventually get to a point where you do have to start to run ads, okay? Now, I have run hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of ads and marketing on marketing, okay? Either it is cards or leaflets throughout my life on different businesses, okay? You need to learn how much money and time does it take to acquire a client, okay? I said how much money and how much time. When you start to run ads, it becomes a money game. When you look at any business, let's say you look at a franchise business, okay? For them, it's like, we're gonna put £1 in and we're gonna get 120 back or 130 back. Does that make sense? Okay, so they put £1 in marketing and they know they're gonna get 120 or 130 back. That's what helps them scale the business. It's like what you call the client acquisition cost, okay, and the lifetime value of the client. Does that make sense? Okay, so So client acquisition cost is, let's say, £1, and client lifetime value, that is net profit to the company, is maybe 120 or 150 or £2 or £3, whatever that might be. Okay. But the first step is to understand, what does it take to acquire a client? Okay. Now, initially, when you're starting out, it's your time. How long does it take you to acquire a single client? What does it take? Sometimes it's a matter of speaking with one person, they take on a deal, you've only maybe spent or invested half an hour. While other times you could sit there and try and sell a deal or acquire a deal, and it takes you weeks on end. Okay. You got to know the average of each client and the time invested at any given time. Okay. I'll give you an example. Okay. For me to generate an extra, let's say 3 or 4 grand a month, it takes about 9 to 10 hours a month. That's about 2-3 hours a week. Yeah. So if I today say I'm going to invest another 10 hours a month, and I want to generate an extra 3 to 4 grand a month, I can easily do that because I already know the numbers behind the scene. That's my time investment. Okay. But let's say if I was running ads, which I did, okay, then that's a different number. Okay. So for your time, it's a different number. For your money, it's a different number. Okay. And getting to a point in your business where you don't necessarily spend too much time, but there's a marketing team who's doing all of that for you is another space. To give you an example, I've got 5 virtual assistants working for me at this moment. Okay. I pay X amount of salary to these guys. They go and distribute content for me. They do lots of things online, all the admin work, all the marketing work. And when the month ends, I know the cost of these virtual assistants, and all I gotta make sure is that they're bringing enough value into the business, allowing me to be able to afford to pay them. Does that make sense? Okay. So getting to a point where you know how long it takes you, as in time investment, to acquire a client, how many people you speak with before you get a yes, and how much money you need to invest to, as in client acquisition. Okay. That could be your salaries, or it could be your paid ads, or whatever that might be for you. Okay. Falak, any questions?
No, at this stage. Theoretically, it all makes sense. It's how can I say? The practice is something we need to have to be able to see through the whole picture,
right, yes.
and not.
Yes.
So definitely.
To give you a bit more understanding around this, Arthur, when you look at the marketing material, look at my marketing and my writing. Okay. If you look at me, I write stuff. I try and make the headline a bit more compelling, more interesting. I try and focus on the emotional aspect, because people tend to buy emotionally, and obviously try and prove it logically. That's pretty obvious. But your headline or your copywriting needs to be focused on who you're selling to and what is their main emotional trigger point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So even in your marketing, when you start writing things, you need to practice and you keep improving, but your aim needs to be, what is it that your client is looking for? How can you help them? But at the same time, what is their main emotional trigger point? Every person who's buying something has an emotional trigger point. It's your job through the GROW model to find that emotional trigger point. Does that make sense?
No, for sure. I'm pretty sure that emotions run the sales process rather than cold counting, if we can put it this words.
It is. If you jump on a call with me ever, you'll probably see me asking lots of questions, because I want to dig deeper into the emotional trigger. And once I know the emotional trigger, just very easy to sell. Does that make sense? Okay.
No, definitely.
And believe me, with the GROW model, it's just so easy to find that emotional trigger. I remember I was sharing this with one of the team members a few months ago. that when you ask a question and if you can't get to the depth of the emotional trigger, use the why 3 to 5 times. What do I mean by that? Okay. So let's say I come and ask you, let's say, Arthur, you're the landlord, and I ask you why are you looking to sell this property? And you say, you know what, I just want to cash it out. Okay.
For example, yeah.
For example. Now, this is not the answer I'm looking for. This is not the emotional trigger, right? Okay. So then you ask, okay, can I ask you, what's the purpose of needing that cash? Are you looking to buy something else? Are you looking to do something else? And this person turns up and says, yeah, maybe my daughter is looking to buy something. I want to help her out. Okay. Or whatever that might be. Okay, you give me an answer. You give me an answer. I'll take you deeper. Arthur, go ahead. Why do you need the cash? Let's say you're the landlord. You're looking to sell. I asked you why you're selling. You said you need cash. Then I asked you, why do you need cash? Carry on. Let's just do this practice.
One question before we do the practice. How many people are really so honest in giving you the answers?
No, they don't. No. But it's
and how do you know? How do you know is it going in the right direction?
Instinctively, through body language, you would know.
All right.
Okay. I can tell with your body language. I can tell with anyone's body language. Okay. So let's just practice, and I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Okay.
Why are you looking to cash out?
I'm not really looking to cash out. I just thought that maybe it's a good time to sell it.
Okay. Why do you think it's a good time to sell?
I spoke with a few agents and so. They said the market is right to sell, and following their experience and so. It's probably big influence on my thinking to sell it.
You are aware that when you sell, you'll have the capital gains tax on it. So I'm just trying to wonder, there's got to be a bit more to that reason than just good timing.
Sure, I'm aware of it, and I'm prepared to it.
Okay. Can you see? Thank you, Arthur, for not opening. Thank you for not opening. But can you see that if you ask this why 3 to 5 times, you increase your chances of finding that emotional trigger? Just why?
No, definitely, yeah.
You can never guarantee that you'll have someone open and tell you the truth. What you can do is always try by asking the why on the same question in different formats. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
9 out of 10 people, Arthur, will open up. Only one person won't. Okay.
Really?
Someone who's really hardcore, high, what do you call street smart may not open, but 9 out of 10 people do open. Okay. But that's an example for you. When you are on the phone, it's the practice of your grow model and asking these questions and asking the why 3 to 5 times that will help you sell. And I have sold more business, and I've attracted more business by just asking why just so many times.
Sure. Okay.
But you have to practice. Faraki, any questions?
Hi, Jack. Thanks for the session. I'm driving, so I'm going in and out of signal. Thank you for differentiating the marketing and the sales. My question is actually around the attracting people on social media with your messages. Where I get confused is how to direct the messages, because we're looking for landlords and we're also looking for investors. How do you do? Do you kind of vary your message between both of them, or do you just speak to investors and then try and find landlords through other means?
I tend to just think of value, Falake. Okay. Yes, you can very consciously design your content for landlords separately and investors separately.
Yeah.
But my mind works like that. So yes, you can do it very consciously, splitting the content, attracting investors separately, attracting landlords separately. But I tend to just think in terms of value. and there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? I literally go out and I think of value. So let's say it's a landlord. I provide value. Value for this guy could potentially be how to grow my portfolio. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's say if it's an investor, his aim could be, okay, how do I grow my investment portfolio, or as a landlord? So it's two different things. Remember, an investor is an investor. A landlord is a landlord. Landlord is someone who manages his properties himself. An investor doesn't. He just wants to invest. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? So if you want to attract, let's say, landlord leads, okay, you know, look at one of the banners that I've made. I'll help you sell your property, 0 commission. Have you seen that, Falake, somewhere?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's probably somewhere on the social media. Okay.
Yeah.
But again, I cover it with not the banner, but the actual whole marketing and content creation around value. And like I said, you could consciously create material for a landlord separately and investor separately. But again, there's no right or wrong there. And I want to deal with your question, which you asked online as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask me that? Go ahead.
What was the question again? It wasn't more of a question.
I think it was to do with
about
strategy and positioning.
Yeah, about positioning, branding and positioning, which you've talked about, was more of the brand is more of your appearance into what it looks like online, and your positioning is that marketing, isn't it? What you stand and how you attract people.
No. Let me rephrase that for you, okay?
Okay.
Your marketing or your branding is your online presence. Okay?
Yes, your branding, yeah.
It's like you look at there's a cosmetic brand where you say you're worth it. What is it called?
I don't know, but yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Okay. So that brand, that's your branding. That's your branding, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But then your positioning is how are you different from the rest of the market, rest of the competition?
Oh yeah, that's the one you said last week. Yeah, I remember now. Yes.
That's very important. A lot of people don't understand the distinction between branding and marketing. Your branding is your presence, your online exposure. Okay.
Yeah.
And your positioning is how are you different from the rest of the market?
Yeah. And your marketing is how you attract people towards you.
Your marketing is, again, the material you create, or the content you create, or the narrative you create.
Yeah.
And then how you create that trust and attract people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And your sales is you physically, people are asking people, would you like to buy?
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, with giving out value, which is good, but for me, I kind of have to think of who I'm giving value to, and that's how I then
don't
understand.
Don't, and I'll tell you why. Okay, online world has become such a gray area. It's better to just give value and not think about it.
Yeah.
One thing, in fact, I can share this with you. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Gary Vee. Okay, one thing I learned from him is, if you are on social media and you're creating a personal brand, just go and create content for the next 10 years. Close your eyes, don't think of the results, and open your eyes 10 years later.
Yeah, but that's one thing I still struggle with. So how do you do the content and the brand without having an end client in mind?
Okay, think of it this way, okay? It's not like you don't have an end client. Come on, that's not possible. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You do have, but you said, "Oh, just go out and create value." I was like, "Yeah, but
no. Let me rephrase that. Okay, let me rephrase that. What I meant by that was, when you are creating content and creating your narrative,
yes,
you are just out there and you're providing value. Okay.
Yeah.
But then your content needs to be surrounded by some subject, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, my content is around property and asset building, or technology to some extent. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's property and technology. Yes.
Yes.
Gary Vee's content is more digital, right? All digital, because he runs a digital agency. Are you forgetting that? Falake, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening. Sorry, my phone just dropped down.
I don't know if you know, but Gary Vee runs a digital agency.
Yeah.
So for him to create content around all the digital subjects of how these social platforms can help you scale and get brand exposure. That's what he does. Yes, no. So it's very consciously positioned and very consciously chosen subjects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't think this is just some sort of incident and it just happened. No, this is all very consciously driven.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Good. Any more questions?
No, not for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Arthur, any questions? I'm just going through the list now.
No, not at the moment. Thank you very much, Jack.
Alan, any questions?
No, all good. Thanks, Jack.
Madeline, any questions?
No,
Okay,
just
so when you
listening.
joined.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Sarah, any questions?
No, I'm all right. Thanks, Jack.
Good stuff. You got to remember one thing, okay? And I was giving this example to Arthur before we started the session. He joined the first. And I said, look, in business, it's like being an ant, okay? Like literally, it's not about your website, your logos, your marketing, your presence, your distinction, your branding, your positioning. It's none of that. It all comes later. The first step is to go and sell, okay? So let's say you're a landlord, you're looking to buy more property. Your first step is to go and find deals. If you're an investor and you're looking for development deals or you're looking for more investors, the first step is to go and sell yourself, okay? That's the first step. The content creation, the narrative, the branding, the positioning, the websites, the logos, all the content, everything else comes later. And when I say later, I don't mean a month later. It's when you're done with your sales, then you sit down and say, I'm going to create some content. Does that make sense? Okay. The first step is to pick up the phone and really start to sell yourself. Like I said, either you're looking for more deals, you're selling this yourself to an agent, or you're selling yourself to a landlord, or if you're looking for more investors, you're selling yourself to investors so you could raise that money. Okay, that is the first step. That is where you need to start from. It's when you're done with that and you've done some work towards it, you come back home and say, you know what, maybe I need to improve my logo. Maybe I need to now go and create a video around my narrative. Maybe it's time to write my story now. Okay, the first step is not to write your story. The first step is to go and sell. Everyone with me on this, please. Please raise your hand if you know what I mean. Okay, very important. First step is to go and sell. You already have a system in place where you can go and sell. You can sell a training program, you can sell a mentoring program, you can go and sell property finance, you can sell property deals. We already have a setup for you to go and start selling. It's about now going and doing it. Okay, the more you do it, the more you'll get fluent. The more you do it, the more practice you get. The more you do it, the more easier it gets. Okay, that is all there is to it. Yes, there are distinctions between your sales and your marketing and your branding and your positioning. You can do that later. The first step is to go and sell yourself. Okay, prove yourself to yourself that you can do it. And then once you start to prove the first one, the second one becomes easier, the third one becomes a bit more easier, and so on and so forth. Okay, at any given time in business, you'll always be selling yourself. What do I mean by that? For example, me, right? At this moment of time, I'm looking for X amount of investment so I could take on a larger hotel, which we are now looking at. Aim is to get to this very large hotel. So now I'm selling myself to more investors so I could raise more money. And then I'm selling myself to the agent who's going to bring in more deals. I've created a very good relationship with him. So I'm selling myself to the agent who's going to bring me the deal. And the second is raising more external funding. So I'm selling myself to the investors. When I say I'm selling myself, that means I'm creating that trust. Okay. So at all times, you would be selling something or the other. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Someone had a question?
Jack, you know, with the representative model, you know,
Yes.
there's quite a few products on there. what would you advise in terms of selling those products, as well as, again, doing all the other things that we have to do? Do you think, what would be your advice if you were like us? How would you go about it?
The easiest one is property finance.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Most people struggle with their brokers. They don't answer phones, they do a bad job. We are normally way better than most brokers. Okay? I provide a good service. I answer the phones, I answer the messages, I answer the emails. I am normally very good with my personal service. So most people go happy, not everyone does. The reason being, because lenders people get rejected by lenders, something I can't control. Okay? But in most cases, people go happy with us. So sell property finance to start with. Second one, I think, okay, you've already seen trainings and mentoring. The fourth thing I would do is property deals.
Right.
Okay? But selling property finance is very easy. Remember, at any given time, people are buying properties, people are refinancing, people are looking for bridge loans, development loans. All of this is so fast paced that selling property finance is very easy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does, because as I said, it was just, there's so much, different things, and for me, I prefer to focus on one or two. Yeah, exactly.
Start with finance, okay, and then go on to property deals, and then if they want training, mentoring, you can ask them. If they need help with understanding some strategy, go from that point.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
So I think someone else had a question. Good stuff. Thank you for watching. I'm going to stop recording.